Well, 16-year-old climate change activist Greta Thunberg delivering this fiery message to world leaders at the UN. Listen.
People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
Well, it comes as millions of climate protesters have hit the streets worldwide, with a growing number of young people involved, even saying that they're too scared to have kids. Here to weigh in is child and adolescent family therapist Darby Fox. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. So a very important topic to hit on this morning because, I mean, it's just been so prevalent in the news. I'll begin with just the young girl herself, Greta Thunberg. What type of damage could this be doing to her? Because we know from her mother that she is on the spectrum, possibly asbergers, ADHD, amongst some other things. So she has some developmental challenges.
I want to be a little careful here. I want to applaud her energy and enthusiasm and devotion. It's certainly very courageous. But as someone with Asperger's, yeah, I worry about her being exploited. If you listen to her speech and some of her language, there's very little. I don't believe she really connects with what some of that meaning is. It's very sophisticated language, and she's very obsessed, which is typical of Asperger's, to be very obsessed with a cause, which again is very good, but she makes little connection to the social world around her, nuances. When you see her speak, it's almost eerie. It's as if there is no real connection. The hatred, the anger is not typical. That's a little scary for someone that age.
Yeah, and not to say, because I do a lot of work with children who are on the spectrum, who grow into, you know, wonderful adults, their families working with them throughout their lives, and so we don't mean to disparage any of those folks. But let's talk also about the damage that this is doing to children who are actually listening to this message. You know, you hear AOC, the world is going to end in 12 years, things like that.
Well, again, we have to remember, kids are very concrete up until they start around 8 to 10, depending on their maturity level, but they take things very literally. So when you hear that the world's going to end and that it's very polarizing, there's a group of people that are just wanting to make money and they're destroying the world for the rest of us. It's very hard for kids to understand what that really means. It's just very scary. And it does seem like a superpower.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of these statistics. This poll was done and it shows that most American teens are frightened by climate change. 57% of teenagers feel afraid about climate change. And then there was another poll that we did that said climate change should be a factor in having kids. Nearly 38% believe that climate change should be a factor when having, or many of them choosing not to have children.
That's an interesting statistic, because I think it's more important to think about what we can do to prevent climate change. And you want to bring kids into the world and raise them so that there's an awareness, a consciousness at a internal level, and then again with how they can interact socially with the world. I think it's a little overreaction to say for kids to be afraid to bring kids into the world.
I mean, and then one of the big reactions online is just using children in this way. When you see them out there protesting and screaming and yelling and blocking traffic, things like this, you see Greta, you know, just so visually upset.
And telling kids that you can miss school if you'll protest this. I wonder how many children actually connect with the climate change. And again, I think we do better if we're teaching them what they can do to help or be a part of solving the problem.
That's a great way to end it, because that's exactly what I was going to ask you, what we should be doing.
What we should do.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the insight today.